So, how did it all begin? Well, some people would say that it began like this.
When you gonna quit your lonely war?
However, I totally have to discount Lonely War as the starting point, because, not that I'm discounting the song, and I'm not discounting what we did with it, but Lonely War was originally written as part of a solo project that he'd called Another Life. Now, Mark had already played a track on that album, and this was also due to be on it, but I really wasn't happy with the form it was in at the time. So I took it to Mark, and he told me that, basically it needed drums. He added some gorgeous electric in the middle, tweaked the lyrics, had me sing them again. And so in that case, even though we've put it on the album as a collaboration, which it was more with him producing me and adding some tweaks in. And where the writing really began in earnest, and where the tale, which is the longest tale for any of these tracks, can be found, is right here in Lost at Sea. Now, what you're hearing is Mark's first very, very, very basic Logic demo. And you can hear here we've got a shaker metronome keeping time, there's a simple bass line, there's a Wurlitzer piano, and there's some vocal, which you'll hear in a bit.
Hey, my sister, yeah. 1, 2, 3. For I miss you like I'm lost at sea.
And it really was this hazing idea at this stage, that this was it. He just sent me this saying, what do you think we can do this? And hearing somebody else's rough idea really made me go away and think about the feel, the sound, the images that it brings to mind, the whole lot. Because when you write a song on your own, you live that song in your head, and when somebody brings you with an idea, you've got to try and occupy that headspace. So my initial suggestion was primarily a structural one, because there was an introduction verse, a chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, then a fade out. And my initial idea was to add in an instrumental passage, another bridge, just to give it that sort of lift, and then go to the verse, chorus as the end. And then the next thing he said to me was, well, how about lyrics? So I started to play with what we already had there. So there was, hey, my sister, 1, 2, 3, so logically you go next to 4, 5, 6, and then because 7, 8, 9 doesn't scan particularly well, I went back to A, B, C. And I'd picked up upon this metaphor in his scratch lyrics of being lost in a dark ocean, being used to represent grief and loss. And so it was the idea that I picked up on working with, the scene, with this person trying to find navigation points and get a grip of where they were being taken, either in the ocean or in life, because they were being tossed and held by forces that were beyond their control. What you can hear here are what Mark likes to refer to as his scratch vocals, which is a technique used by a lot of writers to get an idea down for a melody, because you just sort of stand there vocalising, you're not singing words, you're just making shapes with your mouth. Things come out from that, and that gives you lyrical ideas too, and that was the key element in guiding me in writing the lyrics coming up with this. Mark then asked me to add some drums to it. And coming to it as a drummer, which primarily I do when working with other people, there's usually 3 ways to go with it. One is that the person will know pretty much what they want exactly, and they'll lay down a track for you to basically copy. Some will give you a drum track and tell you to use that as a guide, play about with it, add suggestions. And then the third is usually along the lines of what Mark did here, and just offer me total freedom to go with it. So that was really nice to... I didn't sit the kit and work at it. I put the demo onto my phone and I walked around with it for about 4 days on repeat. I just played it just to let it seep into my bones, because it just has that soulful feel. And Mark just feels music. Having played with him live, he doesn't count a band in. He sort of moves and grooves into a song and then brings the band in with a sort of a move and a count. He's the most physical musician I've ever seen. He works in a wonderfully physical way. And I wanted to get that physical infection of the groove into me before I sat down behind the drums and tried to work with it. And I decided to have the drums interact with the vocals on the basis that less is more, and just to let them groove and fill between. He was really happy with that, I remember. And then he went away and added some guitar, some Hammond, did some extra work on the bass. And then we introduced our officially unofficial definite third member of the band, Robert Baird, who's this lovely, lovely man who's lives on the shores of Lake Michigan. He's a friend of Mark's, and I'm really glad to say he's a friend of mine too. He just has this wonderful, eccentric sort of music genius. You can just picture him in this musical lab in a cabin by the shores, cooking up all these little musical brews. And he added on the little bits of strings and horn samples and the little synth noises you can hear in there, and it gave the whole song this new Philly soul kind of vibe, which really informed the rest of what we call the first side of the album. And it all really stems from this. Once that was done, we shelved it for a while because we wound up doing other things, both together and apart. A lot of the other songs were worked on very quickly and very intensely with a lot of energy. But this was one we kept picking up and looking at and coming back to and then putting down and then coming back and picking it up again. It was on a slow roast in the oven in a lot of ways. And after a couple of times, it was me that then heard this 3-piece backing vocal thing that I thought would be quite cool. And so I asked to have a go at that, and one of the things we'd established during the course of recording was that neither of us was precious about a track or an idea. You know, if either of us felt that we had an idea with legs, we'd just go with it. And so I added on those in a sort of Beatles, Beach Boys, soul backing kind of way, which is music we both love. So what you have is this very gentle, very graceful, very soulful ballad about loss and love. I think it's a very sweet and a very soulful track. It took the longest to complete, but it's more than worth it for that. Lost at Sea.
Sister, yeah.